Welcome to Smell Sort Farts, and today I'm going to talk about the trap of productivity. There's definitely a better word for this. Grind culture, hustle culture. People have talked about this before, but I haven't, and as you know on this channel, I talk about things whether or not they're relevant anymore because I feel like it. So today I want to talk about issues that I face when it comes to the need or the feeling that I have to be productive all of the time. And I'm not saying this necessarily applies to literally anybody else because I don't know what your life is like. But this job is weird. And as much as it is the best job I've ever had and definitely a privilege to be able to do it, it also has some hidden downsides that I think people don't know about. And before some YouTuber starts whining about how hard their life is, like, I love this job. And on a day-to-day basis, it lets me do what I want to do. But that exact freedom is kind of the problem. So if anybody out there is their own boss, you probably run into the problem of you end up working literally all the time. The problem is, if you're the boss, you're in charge, and something needs to get done, you need to do it. Sure, you can have other people that work with you. You can have people you trust. You can delegate certain tasks. But at the end of the day, if something needs to get done, and it's not getting done, it's up to you. By the way, I'm filming this video while I replace all of the wood on this because it was too brittle and it all died immediately, and I had to buy more. So I'm being productive as I'm making content, which, I don't know, maybe that's a part of the problem here. Now, when I say things have to get done by you, I'm not saying that you should never rely on people. I have amazing people I work with. Clark and Megan are awesome. My editors, Lewis and Vince, are awesome. And I really do. I rely on them. I trust them. They do good work. But when something extra happens, when something that's outside the scope of what I expect from them to do happens, I don't want to then turn around and ask them to do more work. If something else needs to get done, I'm going to do it because that's my job, not their job. And even though they'd be willing to do it, and often are, I feel weird asking my friends and coworkers and whatever you want to call it to do extra stuff for free. They get paid for what, like, everybody gets paid. The channel gets paid, everybody gets paid. But like any extra stuff, that's not fair because it's my responsibility to get that done, not theirs. Anybody who runs a small business and is a boss, or even a big business, I suppose, knows this, especially if they're a good boss. You don't ask somebody to do something you're not willing to do yourself, and you especially don't ask somebody to do something for free because that sucks, and don't take advantage of people. Perfect example, on MinMaxed Season 2, there's a lot of editing that's going to have to get done, and it's going to have to be me to do it because we ran out of budget. There's not enough money to pay somebody to edit. I've had people offer, but I'm not willing to ask. So I did Season 1, I know how much editing is. I'm not willing to let somebody else do that for free. It's not fair. Artists should be paid for their work. And as an artist who's done a lot of work for free, I don't want to put anybody in that position, which is why whoever works with me, when we're making money, they get paid. This kind of goes into hustle culture, right? Like, I'm sure that even outside of small businesses, a lot of people feel this need to continue to be productive and produce. Any second that you're not doing something useful is wasted time. Now, not everybody feels that way. Obviously, like, some people have the ability to relax. I used to have the ability to relax. When I worked for other people, I still possess the ability. Somebody, I'm sure, is going to make some comment about how I'm using this drill wrong or I'm being unsafe, and I'm sure that's going to happen, but I don't care. But yeah, when I worked for somebody else, I had the ability to relax when I was done with my job. But I've never been able to do a job that I don't care about, which is why it's difficult for me. Like, okay, I'm tangenting again. So, tangenting to my tangent, hustle culture, this idea that everybody's got to have like a side hustle, and the time that you've got off should be made productive. In the economy that we live in, when everybody's kind of struggling or things are more expensive and it's harder and you're not getting paid as much, like, yeah, it's difficult, and a lot of people have second, third, fourth jobs, and a lot of people are really used to this idea. When I worked for somebody else, it was a little bit easier for me to find those moments between to kind of relax and do stuff, but that was many years ago, and the world was a little bit different. But even in those times, even in times when I worked for somebody else and we didn't have as much hustle culture kind of stuff permeating the zeitgeist, I still found it very difficult to work a job that I didn't care about. I've had tons of jobs. I've worked in all kinds of different industries. I've worked, just general labor kind of stuff. I've been cleaning houses. I've served food. I've been a delivery driver. I've been like a lot of non-artistic jobs, which are fine. There's nothing wrong with any of those jobs. I taught martial arts. I've done like more creative jobs. Like I did a stunt show. I was a piano tuner for a while. I've done a lot of different stuff. So I have an array of different experiences to pull from. But the jobs that didn't have like a creative element or have something that I could like strive for in some sort of something I cared about, something creative, those are the jobs that I just couldn't stick with. Everybody's built different. Unfortunately, I'm built so that I have to care about what I'm doing or I won't do it. It's been that way in school and subjects. If I'm not interested in the thing, I just cannot keep my attention on it. And so that meant on the other side of things, if I had a job and I cared about it, I really cared about it, which made it difficult when I thought that the boss or somebody else was being dumb or running the company badly or like something wasn't right. I would get upset and be like, oh, be logical, do this thing right, stop cutting. Anyway, so I quit a lot of jobs. And then I found this. And this is the weirdest job with the most freedom and also the least freedom that I've ever had. And I swear I'm kind of getting to a point, but I'm kind of not, because I'm feeling this video out as I go. Okay, so what is it like as a job to be a quote-unquote YouTuber? Well, the answer is it varies very much, depending on what you do and where you are in your career. When I first started off doing this, it wasn't full-time at all. I was just uploading videos when I had the time, and I worked another job. I worked a couple different jobs as I was doing this. They had more flexibility. I was a personal trainer, I was a piano tuner while I was starting up, so I could kind of pick my own hours at the other job, and then I would make content on the weekends and then I would upload it. But at that rate, at that schedule, and at that level of quality, it wasn't viable as a job. It wasn't until I decided, it wasn't really until I decided to take this thing full time and stop doing everything else and focus on it that it turned into something that actually brought in enough money to support me. And that statement isn't actually true, because I decided to make it my full-time job and I was not bringing enough money to support me. I took on debt. I was living very paycheck to paycheck, and even then running out of money. It really took years for this to turn into something viable. And that's posting 2 to 3 times a day on shorts and a long form every week and having multiple channels. And even then, like, no one here is rich. We're all getting by. We're all doing fine. This isn't a whining about money. I swear I'm getting into this stuff. But the point being, like, this job is really cool and really fun, but it's not easy. So what does it actually look like a day in the life? A lot of people probably think that a YouTuber wakes up whenever they want to, films a couple videos, goes to bed, etc., etc. Well, not for us. So I wake up and I go to the gym, because that is part of what I do here. In order to be able to do what I do, I have to be fit. I have to know what I'm doing. So I go to the gym first thing, and then I come into work. And when I'm at work, we work. We have a schedule. We have a quota. We have X amount of videos we have to get a day. And then we also have to go to fencing, which is also part of work. These are fun things. I like them, but it is not just for fun anymore. I don't go to fencing for fun. I don't go to the gym for fun. I go to the gym because I have to. I go to fencing because I have to. I enjoy it sometimes. If you have a hobby and you're not feeling it, even without the pressure of this being something you're paid, you can just be like, yeah, I'm gonna skip tonight. But I can't. For fencing, I can't just be like, I'm not going, because it's my job. I feel this pressure to go to fencing, to perform. And not only to go to fencing, but to be good at it. And then the pressure to drill extra and do all these other things. And I know that like competent and good athletes who are well rated also do this. So I'm not unique in this aspect, but it does make it interesting because it's my livelihood. I have to go do my hobby as my livelihood. The same thing with the content. Making videos is a creative endeavor. It is something that you can't just do on a schedule. It's not like you go into work and you have a checklist of physical tasks or manual tasks or mathematical tasks to do. I'm not saying those things are bad. They're very valuable. I'm not good at them. But creativity doesn't necessarily work that way. There's not a formula for videos. I can't just say, oh, we're making this video today. The idea has to come. So we have to brainstorm. We have to decide how we're going to shoot it. We have to do all of these things. And if I'm not feeling it on a day and I don't have ideas, too bad, come up with ideas. It's very difficult to keep up with a quota and a quota on creativity. In an ideal world, shorts would pay more and I could produce less content, have more time to have that brainstorming and still make enough money to pay my entire team a reasonable wage. But unfortunately, we've in this world of content churning out. So in order for shorts to be a viable platform, we have to post at least 2 a day, usually more, with our other channels, and then a long form. And then you still have to look at other things. Like the Patreon is one of the only reasons we get to do this, because people like our stuff enough that they donate to us on Patreon. If we didn't have that, this wouldn't be viable. Go back and edit some of this out because I feel like at this point I'm whining about money. I'm not trying to. We're doing fine. The channel is doing fine. I am not in danger of everything exploding. But this is kind of important. This backstory is kind of important when we get to the next thing. We'll see what I keep in the edit. Okay, enough about money, enough about whatever. Like, I've established that this is a real job. It's got a schedule. It requires you to put in a lot of time and commitment. And while it's a very, very fun job that I love most of the time, it is difficult. And then you come to the biggest, I guess difficulty, or I would say stressor of this job. And that is that, you know, if you are self-employed, you're the boss and you kind of can make decisions based off of like, if you sell something, you can look and see, are people ordering this thing? I'll stock more of this thing. Most industries have things that you can kind of look at and like determine how you're gonna run your business. With YouTube, there's nothing. I kind of am self-employed, but I'm kind of not, because the algorithm employs me. And the algorithm doesn't talk to you. It's like having a boss that won't tell you when you did a good job or when you did a bad job until you after you've already done your work and submitted it. And then you don't get to know for a couple of days if it's good or bad, and they don't give you any feedback. They don't say, oh, this video is bad because X, Y, and Z. It could have been the video was fantastic, and if I had posted it 10 minutes later, it would have been fine. Or if I posted it 2 days later, it would have been fine. Maybe it just, something was wrong with the algorithm. You never know. I mean, I've had that happen. I posted a video and then I've taken it down and posted it again, especially on TikTok, by the way. I don't like TikTok. It does such a bad job for, it's kind of, point being, there's no certainty, there's no feedback. Doesn't matter what your audience wants either. We have people say they love something, and I just know it's gonna do bad. Some of my favorite stuff, Darth Mediocritus and Darth Ineptitus, Sortie, those really fun and interesting videos that we made, the sketches, that comedy, didn't do well at all. Super fun to make. Everybody who commented on it said they loved it, but it just didn't get the engagement that some of the other stuff does. So while I am self-employed, I'm also employed by the algorithm, and then also kind of by the fans and the people, right? Like, I can't just make whatever I want to. I also have to make sure I'm serving my audience. But my audience filtered through the algorithm, which is unknowable. So like, it's really stressful as a self-employed boss. I think it was stressful as a single content creator, but I also knew like, I kind of screw it if I fail, whatever, right? If I fail, then I fail. But now, because I work with people and they rely on me, now it's not just if I fail, it's I have to take care of people. And so I don't really, where was I even talking about on this? I sound like I'm just whining, and I kind of am, because this is a training consciousness. I think it comes back to that, like, the inability to relax in this grind culture. Remember now, the video is about productivity and how and how the feeling of always needing to be productive, that's what it was. So with all of that blathering that I did before, depending on if David edited any of this, those factors that I previously stated make me feel like every second of my day needs to be productive, which does one of two things. One, it stresses me out and makes me like take on way too much work. But two, it also will cause like analysis paralysis, where it's like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do, especially because I am not super disorganized. Or I'm sorry, I am super disorganized. I'm not very organized. So trying to figure out what the best solution or the first thing I need to do is very difficult for me to do. And then I might waste time on one project when I should have been doing something else. And then I'll get like stressed and not be able to decide what to do. I still get things done, and luckily I have a team of cool people, especially Megan with organization, who helps me do this kind of stuff. But like even in my leisure time, I'll be sitting there going, what's the most productive use of this leisure time? Should I be being productive in my leisure time by learning a skill that's worthwhile, like an instrument because that's artistic and it's creative? Or should I watch a dumb video that will relax me? And then I think, oh, but that's not very productive because, you know, I'm not learning anything or doing anything, and that's not gonna make me more creative, which will mean that I don't have anything to pull from to make more content, which is my job and supports my team. You see what happens here? You see what happens? And like, I'm not even blaming anybody for this. I'm not saying this is the fault of society. I am just ranting. Maybe it's super unrelatable, and all of you are going, David, you are literally doing everybody's dream job, stop complaining. But anyway, this might be the end of this smell sort fart, because that's all I can think of now. Maybe I'll say something else. Was in the end, I've thought of more things because this video in and of itself and this channel is a symptom of the problem, but also part of the solution. Because I realize that I process things by verbalizing them. And even if that's just talking to a camera, that's helpful. But I wouldn't just talk to a camera if I couldn't validate it with some sort of productive end, right? I wouldn't waste time making a video that I wasn't going to post because that doesn't help anybody. But by making the video, I'm sorting through an issue that I want to solve about myself, right? So it is helpful to make this video for me, but at the same time, I'm adding to my workload and I'm feeding that addiction to productivity because I've turned it into work, which comes back to grind culture, which is bad. But here we are, using that drive to help me. This is complicated, isn't it? Okay, final thoughts on this subject. Obviously, based on my rant, you probably think that I totally hate the kind of grind culture, and I hate the need to constantly be productive, and that it's bad, and that I want to relax more. And while to an extent some of that is true, I would like to have more relaxation in my life. I actually I like the need to be productive, and I like that it pushes me, because creativity usually flourishes under pressure and under constraints, if that makes sense. Not all creativity, but if you're given endless time and no deadline and no constraints and no impetus to do something, you won't do it, right? I mean, how many people have decided that they were going to start to play an instrument or write a book or do something, and it just was never the right time. They never got around to it. I did that for years and years and years and years, and I still did that, right? I'm not playing my instruments as much as I want to, though I've put some pressure on myself recently, and that's helping. I do that with my videos. I put pressure on myself in a video. I say, hey, I'm gonna do this thing, and then I feel that I have to follow through with it because I put the pressure on it. And that's real. Putting that pressure on yourself can be positive. It's the same thing with competition, right? I don't like competing in fencing because it's very stressful, and I would rather just fence to fence. But I have gotten better because I have put pressure on myself to go and compete. And in order to be good, I had to get better. The big issue is moderation, as with all things, right? I tend to take things to an extreme, which is unhealthy. And I think a lot of other people probably do too. having no pressure will lead to no productivity, no creativity, no growth. Pressure is good, but it can only be good if pressure is applied in moderation and in a healthy way. And I think that, at least for myself, finding a way to make that pressure healthy and finding a way to balance out my endless drive to be productive and my need to rest and recuperate is probably my biggest challenge. So I hope this smell sort fart was helpful for you. It was definitely helpful for me to talk about it. Whether or not I actually do anything to change, that's another story. But hey, I made the video and maybe that'll be pressure enough for me to take a break every once in a while. Anyway, see you on the next part.